Oh yeah, we're live by the way.
Man, fucking watching Chicago Med. Chicago Med ain't paying your bills.
Absolutely not. Oh yeah, sorry y'all. So I feel like a couple people probably did not get the chance to read How to Be Ace because it's not. I don't think it's available digitally.
No, I had to buy it. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I think that's the one that just
We
because
couldn't
it's by
figure
a
it out.
smaller. It's by a smaller. I think it's a smaller indie press.
Hmm.
So because it's a smaller indie press, um, some of them don't necessarily go digital. Not hey comics class. So y'all, we are gonna do this quick tonight. Bree and I both are tired, have stuff to do after we get off of this live.
Hungry.
So
What?
Caroline, y'all, that's my line sister.
Oh, hello. I wish I can give you a greeting, but I don't know them.
You will when you come visit.
I'm ready for my room, you know?
I know you are. I know you are. All right, y'all. So we are here to discuss How to Be Ace and Snapdragon, which were both really, really quick reads. Um, it's okay. It's all right. It's all right. The Scarlet Moon killing. Okay, so the reason why we're a little off. We're doing last month's picks now because Bree and I have had schedule conflicts, so we weren't able to do last month's until this week. But we're going to be doing. Bree, you're free at the end of this month, right? We're going to be doing something is killing the children, which we should be how many volumes in now? 4.
The way I'm ready. Okay?
And I'm probably going to end up buying copies of it. Not going to even lie to y'all. This will be my third time reading these through. But I don't think I've read. I think the fourth volume should be out by now, if I'm not mistaken. I could be so wrong about that, but
I, I think I only read volume one and two.
okay. So you still have some. You still have some more to go. Um, Also, in other news, if y'all did not know, hold on, let me make sure. I just want to make sure I have y'all right for next week. I mean, not next week, for the end of this month before I. Okay, so we will be doing Something is Killing the Children, volumes 1 through 4. So, volume 4 is out. So, we'll be doing all 4 volumes. Um, because volume 5 does not drop until October of this year. And in October, we'll be reading the entire Lock and Key series by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. But if y'all did not know, Paper Girls comes out on Amazon Prime on the 29th of this month, I believe. And so
Hoopla.
I low key am probably going to read through all 6 volumes again just to prep myself for the TV show. I know, Brie, you were saying that you were interested in reading it. I will say some warnings. It does not age well. Like some aspects of Saga don't age well. There are some things in the first couple of volumes that do not age well. If you guys decide to pick it up um, before the TV show comes out, some things do not age well in the first few volumes. It is very confusing for the first 2.5. It's a little confusing because it is time travel and none of it makes sense. But once you get past volume 3, I promise you, it all flows very, very well together. So, sci fi, time travel takes place in the 80s. Um, I'm very excited to dive back into it. Um, I will say that Something is Killing Children is gory, it is violent, it is horror. So,
Love
be
it.
prepared for that. It's a lot of not so great things, and no one is safe. Like literally,
Nobody is safe.
not even the kids.
Not
So
even the
prepare yourself for that. Um, just so you know, it is horror, but I wouldn't say like it's like, oh, keep me up late at night horror. Like it's not like that, but it's a lot of gore that's in there. But I love it. Bree, you love the first two volumes, right?
I did.
Okay. All right. So just keep that in mind.
I
Yeah, it is gory. I'm sorry, Veronica. It is gory. So unfortunately, if that's not your thing, you might want to skip. Um, you might want to skip July's picks. And what do we have for? Let me see what we have for August.
I will say no shade
Uh huh.
to the illustrator, but I do feel like something is killing the children. Gore on page is like, I don't want to say low budget. I've just seen more gory
Yeah.
depictions. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not as holy shit
Yeah.
as what I've seen on other people. I'm not saying
Oh,
budgeted at all.
it is safe. It's safe. It's just that it's safe in the sense that like it's not something that you're going to read and then it's going to keep you up at night. It's not safe in the sense that I wouldn't get attached to anybody at
No,
all.
don't do that.
Just don't do it. Like I'm just like your forewarning. Like just don't. No matter how cute and charming and kind anyone may seem in that entire series, you get attached to not a soul because you will get disappointed. So
It's like
just
Bitterroot. Don't do it.
Bitterroot Saga. We've been through this. We
There's
get
a one.
attached to no one.
Yeah, there's another one. I'm blinking on the name. Jesus, it's like you can't get attached to any of them. I when I think of it, but it's another comic series, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I feel that about Death Note. Is it Death Note the manga I read? Anybody can change at any time.
You talking about Death Note or Monster?
No, Tokyo Ghouls.
Tokyo
That
Ghoul. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's another one. Um,
yeah. So I was like
so
I say Death Note. I have no idea, but
just to give y'all a heads up, in August we're doing Watchmen and V for Vendetta, taking it back to some classics for August. Because I think we were thinking like back to school, and then comic classics would definitely be Watchmen, V for Vendetta. September we have I'm a Wild Seed and the Lolo Woods. October is Lock and Key Volume 1 through 6. And then we have November, which is A Girl Called Echo Volumes 1 through 4, which Bree's read all of them. I think I've only read 2 of them.
wait.
So
Yeah, I think I did. I think I read all four.
I think you read all 4. I feel like you read all 4.
Feel like I did too, but
Yeah. I don't know. Not me out here saying you read stuff and you're like, I don't know if I really read that. Don't be out here putting me out.
I feel like it's 50-50. I'll have to look. I have to look on my spreadsheet, not my Goodreads. Man, the way I was so committed to that spreadsheet because I was going to give good content beginning of January, and the
Mm-hmm.
spreadsheet left me in April. Haven't looked at the spreadsheet ever since.
Your content's been banging. I just want you to know that. Your reading vlogs, the cooking vlogs, and they like that was a perfect idea for you. That was for you, okay? You know how people say like something is meant for you? That was
Yeah,
that was designed for you. It was nobody else's
don't
but
gas me.
yours.
Don't gas me up on Beyonce internet. I was like,
It's so good.
yeah, I do love it. I have another one. I'm like, how the hell am I gonna do it? Because it started at like, get ready with me while
Yeah.
I feed and cook. And I bought this black owned grill and I tried it for the first time and I had steak and onions and mushroom. I had all these things on it. It was a bomb southern breakfast.
Yeah.
I just haven't finished that vlog and I'm like, do I post it still? But I have a lot of reading and content in it. I just haven't wrapped it up.
We'll just sit down and wrap it up. Come
Yeah,
on, we need this content. You get me through my work day. So let's go. I need the content. I be sitting there at my desk with you on my little phone and sitting there with my headphones in. So yes.
I'm
So
like, let's make burgers. Let's make random shit. Yeah, let's do that.
no, it's great. That was a brilliant idea that like it fits you so well. Like people have their things that they do that it's yeah,
Yeah,
that's your thing.
I
So
love a good cooking moment. Yeah.
yeah, that's good. All right, which one do you want to talk about first? Because we got 50 minutes. We're gonna do this in an hour. Snapdragon or How to Be Ace. Okay.
Let's talk about Snapdragon.
Okay. Snapdragon. Was this your second time reading it?
Yes, and I only read half of it because I was
Okay.
trying to finish reading it again and life.
Okay. But you've already read it. So
Yeah.
this was my first time reading it. I have read, how do you say Kat's last name? Do you know?
Oh man,
Is
Lay.
it Lee or Lay?
I was like Lay.
Maybe. I've read one of Kat's other books, Thirsty Mermaids, which is about three mermaids that like to drink. So it was good.
I can get
Um,
that though.
so I was excited when you suggested that we read Snapdragon. Actually, these were both your suggestions, correct?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. So both of these were Bree's recommendations, and I've never read either. I'd heard of Snapdragon, but it was my first time reading it, and I definitely was like a 4-star read for me. It was good, but I like Kat's work though. Kat is not only like art wise, but content wise, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, there is. Forget the. Oh my God, what is the witch name? Jesus.
You talking about Jax?
Jax. There we
Oh,
go. Um, every time I see roadkill, I live in a northern state where there's roadkill every day. There's dead deer in the middle of the road all the time. I'd be thinking like
wish
Jack's
it.
game and scooped up. It's like a constant thought. I
Yeah.
constantly think. But yeah, random.
I really thought that it was charming. I loved just the I like when like middle grade graphic novels kind of tackle the whole idea of like nothing is ever what it seems. And so, people all across town have these preconceived notions of Jax, and they have these preconceived notions of Snap, and they have these preconceived notions of Lulu. And so, like, it was nice seeing everybody kind of break what people had expected of them. And I think one of my favorite parts, though, is like Snap's mom is just so affirming in every single, like,
I was
perfect,
someone that
perfect, perfect. Like, as a mom, like, that's what I would aspire to be like, you were getting bullied at school, you get in trouble because you headbutt the bully. And, as a mom, you're like, I don't want to get a phone call like that, but you did the right thing by standing up for yourself and standing up for your friend. And, when she asked Snap, like, are you like Lulu? Like, do you feel like you're a boy? Like, that's okay if you do. Like, you just let me know. We can talk about these things. And
right,
even when Lulu came to the house and she was like, that's fine. I never wear the skirt like you want it. Like, if your parents have a problem with it, tell your parents I gave it to you. Like,
I mean, just the fact that mom was like, "Look, I got clothes you can try on."
yes.
I was like, "Wow, this is
Yes.
mom I want to be." I mean, mom, I would. How do I say it? If I had to be a mom, this is the type of mom I would want to be.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. Yeah. I definitely I love that aspect of their relationship because no matter what she had going on, and I think that's always kind of like things that I always get worried about is kids like who go through ups and downs at school and stuff. Like, do they feel like they have a safe space at home? Do they have, a grown up that they can talk to that makes them feel safe and comfort, that gives them that, like, whenever you do want to talk, you can always come to me. And knowing that, that her mom was at for her, and it was just the two of them. I don't know, like that relationship for me, I guess me being a single parent too, and then like just watching how she operated with Snap as a single parent, I was like, man, this like this whole dynamic is perfect. But I also felt like that was like a generational thing, because she had made that comment in the car where she was like, your grandmother was far, she was, way ahead of her time and what people nowadays would call progressive. So she raised her kids in a way. And so you can see that that's that positive generational thing that's going on, which
How it came back in the end.
yes, yes,
Oh, the end almost had your girl in tears.
yes. It was so nice just seeing everything just come full circle, and like her mom just, even though her well, I'm talking about Snap's mom, Snap's grandmother, let's put it that way, Snap's grandmother was not able to be with Jax, like she still held on to that, like, you love who you love at the end of the day. You care for who you care for. Like in my household, you know, anything is fine. And then when you find out that Vi is Violet, I was like, oh, I was like, oh my gosh. Hey, Deidre,
Oh,
you would
hey,
like it.
girl. I found like when they were introduced to themselves, when Snap introduced herself to Jax,
Hmm.
and the way Jax responded to Snap's name
Yeah,
made me think like, is there gonna be?
a connection there. Yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah.
was, yeah,
I didn't even think, but now that you mentioned it, because I didn't even think about that.
yeah.
And she was like, "Yeah, it's my mama's favorite flower, Snapdragon." I didn't, but now that you say it, now that all comes back, everything comes back full circle. It was just,
Good callbacks.
it was nice how Kat was able to tie all of that in together, very, very neatly. I love that you see this friendship. I like dynamics where you have in kids' books, really honestly, where you have intergenerational friendships. I really, really like that for some reason. I don't know. Like, I just think it's like heartwarming when you see, like, a kid that's hanging out with like someone who's older, not in a creepy way,
I
but
think because you and I are our grandmother's babies.
and that's
And I
probably,
think that
yeah,
is
that's what
why.
that is. I'm like, because like even when I was with my get choked up talking about her birthday was a week ago. Um, but even like I remember when I was younger, we used to like be on the porch and just talk, and she would tell me about like, Ashley, I used to do this and that. So like you're right. Like I love seeing that in kids' books where it's like an older person and like that kid that doesn't always feel like they fit in with kids their age, but they find connection and solace in someone who's, older. They have that kindred spirit. Like
It's just something about it. It's just like with me in high school, like there were just so many relatable things about both of these books.
yeah.
And just not feeling like I don't think I really came out of my shell until the my sophomore year in college.
Hmm.
I was very introverted. I wasn't talking to nobody. I was chilling by myself. And for me, I felt solace in my grandmother and her siblings.
Hmm.
Like they were even to this day. Like my auntie called me the other day. God, what are you doing? I'm like, just sitting here. Like, what are you, she's in her 70s cursing me out. And then she calls, I'm gonna call Cora on three way. And they like they're just so funny. Like I just grew up with them, and like I remember them being like, girl, we going to TJ Maxx. Like me being excited for a rummage sale, a good
Yeah.
deal,
Good
like
yard
that
sale.
was a good yard. What? We were
Used to
there
love a good
so
yard sale.
too. And they were like, we gonna go to where the white folks live.
Yeah. You
So
you know,
I just
I
missed them.
think Jessica, what's interesting? I think my daughter's gonna be the same way. I think that she's not disabled. She has a very I can't honestly, I don't know, and I'm not gonna it's not I don't I'm trying to be careful how I phrase this because she's young and I can't tell yet. But she has a little difficulty sometimes, I think, with sensory, and I don't know if it is going to be like, sensory processing or anything. Like, it's just, she gets very overwhelmed very quickly when there's too much stimuli in the room. And
Same niece.
so, hmm,
I said same niece.
she doesn't like, she doesn't handle it well. So when like she walks into her classroom and kids are like, hey, 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 like, like, and saying her name and stuff, she, it's too much for her at one time. And so she falls into herself. And whenever we are out, like, we went to a kid's birthday party this weekend, and like, she would rather have been around the adults because it just, in terms of what was going on, in terms of similar, it was easier for her to be in that environment, which was a lot more calm and relaxed than be around the kids, which was just a lot going on. And she was like, I can't. So I feel like she's going to be the same way, um, where she does much better around adults than she does around, and not saying that she doesn't get along with kids at school, but I think preference wise for her, it's going to be, it's going to be the same thing,
Yeah.
which old soul.
Sometimes it be like that. I found out recently like me and my grandma, although we can also be introverted, I think at heart we're just very to ourselves introverted people. Like
Hmm.
me and my granny will get around our family and we're like the least one to talk to,
Hmm.
interact. We're in the corner. It's the energy. Like so a lot of people think my grandma is catching an attitude or she is
Hmm.
like doing some weird shit and I have to tell them like, look, Dorothy has had enough. Like she will go home. Like if my
Hmm.
granny feels like overstimulated, she's like, I'm leaving. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
don't
It's too
and I'm kind
much.
of like her. I'd be like, I'm coming with you, granny, like I'm leaving with you. So it's just it can just be too much. Like I started realizing recently that like I'm having like equivalent of like an anxiety attack every
Hmm.
time I leave my house. Like if I got to interact with
Hmm.
people other than the people I interact with on the daily, it is
Hmm.
literally too much. And I'm like, you a therapist, so it's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely saw that in Snap. Like, it was, I think that Jax is what she needed, and Jax
I
needed Snap.
yeah.
They needed each other, and I think that the timing was just perfect. And so, I love the magical element of it too. This is a great, like, I didn't, looking at the cover, I had no idea what this was about. I just,
The cover won't tell you. I
it
think
doesn't tell you
it does.
anything.
Yeah, it won't tell. I also think Jax showing Snap about lessons that has to do with life and death was
Yeah,
so important. Like I
it
feel
was.
like a lot of times we try to shy away from death or like don't want to talk about it or the process or think that it's creepy or make up all these stories about what it
Yeah,
could be.
yeah,
And I think there were so many lessons that she learned
yeah.
from Jack. I'm not even sure. Does Snap use she pronouns?
I'm not sure, because it was never, because
Jack?
at first, for a second, I thought it was like we were going in a little direction of like non-binary. But
Yeah.
but Snap had made the statement that I feel like a girl. I know, like, I am a girl. I just don't, I'm not, I don't act right. And so I wasn't sure if Snap was trying to say, like, I teeter between both sometimes, or I feel like both. But so I'm not sure, but it felt like a little genderqueer vibes going on
With
with.
a dash of Ace.
Yeah, yeah, like, it was a lot. It was a lot. But Kat also did that with, I noticed that Kat also did that with Thirsty Mermaids, where there was a little bit of, you weren't sure what was going on, but you could tell that there was a little gender queer, and what I felt like at some point too could have been some Ace elements in there as well. So
Yeah.
it was, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised because I've seen it in Kat's other work, but yeah.
Yeah. Ulysses, I agree with you.
Oh, in the flashback when she meets her grandma, she says, "Ma'am, I'm a," and the grandma doesn't let her finish. We're talking about Jax or Snaps, because I know Jax when Jax meets the grandmother's like, "I don't care either way. It doesn't make a difference."
Yeah.
Um,
Grandma literally ahead of her time.
Grandma was way ahead of her time, like
Ahead of
way ahead of her time, which made so much sense when Snap's mom was like, you know, your grandmother was what people would call progressive nowadays. That's it. She said she was a girl but didn't like dressing like one.
yeah.
Yeah. And so I don't like I still felt like there was like, if we were to get another installment of something like this, that there would be some exploration of um of Snap's gender identity and what they were feeling. But it was just a whole hodgepodge, I think, of queer people, to be honest with you. Like that's how I felt.
And it wasn't done, and the beauty of it is that um and this is just my opinion. I feel like it is easily discernible when you see an author write queer characters and they are just to click boxes, like to check,
Yes.
check, check.
Yes.
I didn't get any of that vibe
I
uh,
didn't either.
from this cast of
Didn't either.
primarily queer characters.
I didn't either. And I love when that happens, when you like the last book that I read that was like that too is when we read
Oh, the mama
oh,
pasta
I
ghost.
think I froze. Did I freeze?
You may have.
I think I did. Okay. When what is the book that we just read by Armed Virtues? Drag Me Up. Goodness gracious, I couldn't get that out. It was kind of I don't know why it was taking me so much to get that out, but like
You
I
me?
liked,
I haven't read it yet.
yeah, it was good. You have Hades was demisexual and Persephone's is trans. Yeah, it was great.
Wow.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It was great, and it was very shocking to know that that was Aram's first book. Like, it was great.
Wow.
But it was that same element too, like where we have the inclusion of queer characters, but it's not like, it's not anything that's written where it's a checkbox. It's not a struggle. It's just life. Like they just exist. And so it was nice to see a middle grade graphic novel, because let me tell you, nowadays with the way things are working and with bannings and stuff like this is a book that I would recommend to a queer child without having to let a non-supportive parent or guardian know that this book has, because you can't tell, and you would never know that this book had queer elements like that. And so
Yeah, I
that has
never knew.
become,
I was surprised the whole ride.
I was too. And like because it's now made its way to some list as like middle grade graphic novels that have queer representation. But you know for a parent who's not like super knee deep and stuff like that, I
Yeah.
could recommend this or give this out, and a queer child could enjoy this. Or even a child that's not queer and just needs to see that experience,
Yeah.
like without parents being like, oh, the cover and the description. And so I love that. Caroline, I'm glad to hear this. Until the sexuality figured out is a lot. We talk about middle grades and books help start the convo. I'm glad. I think your kids will enjoy it. And to be honest with you, it'll probably be like something that they have not seen before, which is good.
Yeah.
Um, Jessica, I'm so glad that you trust us. I'm so glad that you trust us. You just like, read
I
it
feel like
silent.
I might go wrong because I this Jessica. Okay, side note, Jessica. So I bought a water picker thing we talked about, and it was trash. So I think I got to get like a real, like the real deal version, because I tried to go the cheap route and I'm regretting it. Side note, Jessica, we be vibing 99% of the time. There was that one time in that one live that you and I didn't vibe for that 1 second. But other than that, I
I'm
hope we
done.
don't let you down in the future.
I'm done. Yes, this is another good recommendation. Is it Zoe or Zoe? Please tell me if I'm saying that wrong. Wind is also another one. And guess who wrote Wind?
Was it Cat? Joe?
James. James.
Oh
James.
my God, this Tynan love
Yes.
letter.
Yes, of course. His brilliant behind wrote that. Of course he wrote it. Of course it's great. James is one of the it's becoming like I said, comics are definitely becoming more diverse, but James has been out in the industry as being bi, which is a huge thing in comics when you have like out writers and artists, like it's great. And so I definitely expect him. He wrote The Backstagers, which is a queer, fun comic book series as well. You know what? That should be a reading vlog for me. Reading all of James Tynian's works.
You need to write that down.
Dude,
Because now that you said it, it needs to happen.
it needs to
And I
happen.
feel like you need to hold me accountable for the paper girls. I don't want to see you on Beyonce's internet being like, oh, I finished volume one. We finished volume one. We
Okay,
finished
but Bree,
volume
so that means
two.
like, okay, first of all, because we need to talk about how to be ace, because you have to be done in like the next
Oh,
20
yes,
minutes.
that is true.
That
Dun,
means
dun,
that we
dun.
have to read 3 volumes next week. Well, 2 volumes next week, 2 volumes the following week, and 2 volumes and the week after that, because
It's
it's on
on
Friday.
Hoopla.
It's on Hoopla. All 6 volumes are on Hoopla.
I gotta get my thing. Yeah.
So all, or you could do the big bind ups on Hoopla too. You don't have to use 6 of your checkouts. They have the big editions on Hoopla as well, which are
Really?
like, yeah, they have which are I think it's 3 big editions because it's 2 volumes in each hardcover edition. So you could just use 3 checkouts and just read one of those a week.
Okay. Okay.
But remember, you still have 4 volumes of Something is Killing Children to finish as well.
Oh, that's gonna happen in one night.
Okay.
I
Okay.
started last month, but I was like, girl, you're not gonna remember. Your recall ain't great. You gotta know what your strengths are at. So that I didn't do it. Okay.
So I
I,
know everyone didn't get to read this one because of availability, but please stay for the discussion. If you ever do get the chance to read it, I think it is a worthwhile read. This one definitely has content warnings for anxiety. It's a lot of anxiety,
OCD.
OCD. Um, what is it called? The fear of vomiting. Do you know that? I don't know what
You're
that is.
vomiting?
Yeah.
Oh, I
I
don't.
cannot remember that off the top of my head, but there is OCD,
Regurgophobia?
anxiety. Huh?
Regurgophobia?
You stupid. I'm done. And
I know that shouldn't work.
and
And just
yeah,
like specific phobias too, like people who have specific phobias to certain things, phobias around cleanliness, and just like a
yeah,
lot of like inner self worth. But I will say at the half mark that gets dramatically pulled back, but
it
in the
does.
beginning to
It's
the
rough.
halfway mark, there's a lot of like just like intrusive thoughts ruminating about
Mhm.
things that can or cannot happen.
Yes. Yeah, that was tough for me. The constant I don't want to go outside because I think something bad is going to happen. And so that was kind of, I felt that was a tough one for me. I don't know if volume 4, and Gina, we're reading all 4 volumes of Something is Killing the Children. Jessica volume 4 is not on Hoopla, but they have the single issues for volume 4 on Hoopla, if that makes sense. So basically, I'll tell y'all exactly what issues you need to read, if that will help everyone out. So you can read volumes 1, 2, and 3. And then for volume 4, you're reading issues 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. I'll say that again. They have the bind-ups of volume, just for anyone who's watching the playback and you didn't catch that. They have volumes 1, 2, and 3. And then for volume 4, because they don't have the trade now, don't go and automatically do this. Don't go and check out every issue right now. Try to wait until, what is it, 6? I would say, I know y'all are usually better about keeping things on par and on time, and I mean, like, reading things on time. I would hold off until the 13th or the 20th before you check out those single issues and see if Hoopla decides to add the 4th volume. Sometimes they're a little late in adding them, so try to give them a little time. But if they don't add it by the 13th or the 20th, those issues are 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20 for volume 4. Okay, hope that makes sense. And we will have that live show on the 27th. And then Bree, you and I need to watch Paper. Deidre, you need to finish Paper Girls.
Yeah, you in this
TV
too.
show comes out on the 29th, and we all need to watch the TV show together.
You're in
So,
this too.
you need to finish Paper Girls.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I'll text y'all whenever we finish this live. But anyway, go ahead, Bree. You share your thoughts first.
I keep thinking about the name of our group chat.
Oh.
Okay.
Dumb.
I thought it was genius. Okay. All right. How to be ace, y'all. Are we ready or hold on, let me see the
What you looking at?
Snapdragon I found on Libby. Alexis. I didn't find it on Hoopla. Oh, if you have Scrib, live it up.
I would check to see if your library has purchased a copy of Snapdragon on Libby, because that's going to be library by library. Like, I have not purchased us a copy of Snapdragon, so my library system does not have it on Libby. I would see if they have a physical copy. But some libraries now are doing really, really good about adding graphic novels to their Libby so that people have digital access if it's not on Hoopla.
I
All right,
see
Bree.
Girl is also wow, Paper Girl. I just found out today on Beyonce's internet that Brian wrote those.
Brian K. Vaughan wrote those, yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah, Brian K.
Literally
Vaughan
my
has.
fave.
Yeah, Brian K. Vaughan wrote Paper Girls.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Um, I'm kind of interested in the fact that Paper Girls got an adaptation before Saga did, though.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting that Saga hasn't. Yeah.
Okay, so on Scrib, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I'm about to check out Paper Girls: The Complete Story. That's 787 pages. Is
That's the
that
full.
everything I need?
That is everything. That's the new one that just released, where it's the huge omnibus of Paper
What?
Girls.
Wait a minute. I thought I signed into the situation. The ghetto, really? The ghetto. Okay, I don't have to. I'm gonna have to figure it out. All right, yeah. So I'll just consistently read that until whenever. All right. Oh yeah, they said the whole thing is in. Okay, so we got 20 minutes. All right,
Yes,
let's get into how to be ace. I feel like this is a shorter, digestible version of Ace, the nonfiction by Angela Chen.
it is. It
Right?
is. It is. That's
It's
it. You literally took the words out of my mouth because when I was reading it, I was like, this is a very scaled down,
scaled down.
more accessible
Agreed.
format of Ace. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, also, the biggest takeaway in this is like reminding myself mainly that being ace is a spectrum and like it looks different for different people. And I felt um there was, hold on, there was a should we talk about what it's about instead of specific things, because I'm going into,
You said, do you want me to talk about what it's about?
I was saying, would it be more helpful to talk about
Yeah.
like what it is instead of
Yeah.
going specific? Okay, so Ace is a memoir about Rebecca Burgess. I think that's how you say her last name. Could be
Is
wrong.
Burgess or Burgess? One of the two.
Rebecca B. Rebecca B grew up as a twin. That nugget just dropped in at some point. I was like,
It
wait,
did. It was random.
it was so random.
It
She
was
grew,
so random.
but I think her twin is sexual in these streets. And she grew up just wanting to play video games and read comic books and just hang out. And she had no relationships with no one. And then she felt like an outsider um, when she was a kid. But then when she went to one, I think when she went to uni, she started like, I'll just try things out. And the first thing she tried, she was like, this isn't it. And then there was a lot of trial and error with her in relationships. So this book is pretty much you're just in her head about all the things or most of the things. Huh?
They.
Oh, so I'm so sorry.
I didn't know either until I literally just read the back.
Oh my God.
I didn't know. I didn't know either. I literally didn't. It's like at the very, very bottom.
Oh shoot. I hate misgendered folks. Okay, let's start this over. So this is a story about Rebecca. They grew up being like, hey, I'm feeling weird. I'm feeling out of place. I don't know what this about. Everybody else is talking about boys and kissing, and loving, and touching. And they're like, it's not giving what it's supposed to have done gave. And then the story continues with them trying to figure out like their place in the world, who they are in relation to the people that are around them, and also being like, do I like this person? If I like them, as a friend, do I pursue them romantically? Like, what do I do? And then they end up getting into like a relationship, and they end up being a pretty shitty person, if you ask me, to the first person they tried to be in a relationship with, and they were very honest about it. Huh?
That poor guy.
Ah, that poor guy. He,
I felt so bad for him.
it was Kurtz. It was Kurtz.
Yeah.
And the good thing about it is Rebecca was very, honest. They were like,
Mhm.
look, this is a little bit of me being, naive, a little bit of me just being like, I don't know where to fit in, and it's not something they're very proud about. They're not screaming on the rooftop like, yeah, I did this person dirty. So they end up being friends in the end, but it was giving awkwardness. And at the time, even throughout the book, they talk about how asexuality was not something that was even discussed. And then in several parts of the book, they're giving you like real life conversations of what people have told them when they have expressed how they feel. And one of the sad parts is when they went to the therapist, and the therapist was like, you have to have sex one day. And I was like, like I wanted to throw up there. Like, maybe that's not something you say, something they also
Hmm.
acknowledge. It's just, I just found it to be a very helpful memoir of showing you how a person lives, thrives, copes with life, and also exploring their sexuality and what that is. Because even though, people identify as this, and that, it's also very like person situational. How am I trying to say this? Um, like gender expression and sexuality expression is literally up to the person, like however they're feeling and how they want to express it and how they don't want to express it is very situational and person based, is what I'm trying to say.
Hmm.
So I've read other books. Like, I couldn't help comparing also this book to the romantic agenda of like just how different
Spectrum.
asexualities identities present themselves.
Hmm.
Like in a romantic agenda, the main character is okay with kissing, like
Yeah.
she likes kissing, she
Yeah.
enjoys it. However, Rebecca, they were like, get back, give me
Yeah.
50 feet, or I'm fighting you in these streets. No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly.
They
Exactly. Rebecca just wouldn't. But what was even interesting for me though is seeing Rebecca having to where they when they got with their partner, how they felt more comfortable with touch because it was something that they knew, they trusted their partner to know that they would never put them in a situation where they would be made to feel uncomfortable. And
yeah.
so it was like, I think I love at this point anything that is about showing asexuality as a spectrum, because
I
people have such misguided thoughts about what it means to be ace and automatically assume that anyone that is ace is sex repulsed. And it does, yes, that is true.
or they
Some people
would
are
be
sex repulsed.
alone for their whole lives.
Yes, and
Yeah.
that's not true. And so it's just, it's for me, it's one of those things where it's like, it's fascinating, um just learning all the different ways that people can exist on the spectrum. And I always harp on this, and because I think it's the hardest thing for people to understand, is like sexual attraction and sexual release. Like people conflate those so much and don't realize like you can be ace and still want to like masturbate because your body needs that physical release, but doesn't mean that I want to go and screw someone. Like it just like
Not walking around saying, you know what, that face? Hey, I'm gonna sit
exactly.
on
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
Exactly.
So it was even, hold on, let me go to the page where I was like, wow, they did such a good job. Um, it's a yellow tab here. Sorry, it's a yellow tab. One of these yellow tabs.
I was not, so I'm interested. I'm actually looking at my copy of Let's Talk About Love, like it's right across from me right now.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to read that. The romantic agenda for me was like okay. And I keep saying that it was okay, not because of the ace representation. That's actually what made the book for me was ace representation and discussion about asexuality existing on a spectrum. I just think that the pacing was not good. The pacing was not good for me. Like I just
The
didn't like the
pacing was
pacing.
a bit rough. It
His pacing
was
was pacing was rough, but I'm really finding that I'm enjoying a lot of books that show asexuality
same.
as it exists on a spectrum, because there are things about the spectrum of asexuality that make sense to me in my personal life with certain things that I have dealt with, whereas I would never in a million years think that that would be a spectrum that I would even have placed myself on. But like knowing that that spectrum exists and you're like, huh,
Literally,
that makes so much sense.
literally a fucking light bulb. Like,
It's
uh,
like, oh, that makes a hell of a lot more sense
a,
about
a
why
light
I
bulb.
do this and I do that. So
A
when
light.
Rebecca talked about like not having the words to describe what they were going through and feeling very awkward because it was like you it's like you think that you're not normal without realizing like you're perfectly fine. You just society has not provided a vocabulary. You don't have the vocabulary. So when you live in a society that's so sexually driven,
You know, one of the things that made me want to cry while reading this book was the correlation, not causation, okay, but the correlation of people who identify as ace on that spectrum and sexual assault and rape. And I was just like there were so, I don't know. I mean, if you haven't hinted or caught what I've been hinting for some time, like it is what it is. But it's like it's so good to have words that you just like can relate. Like these blue tabs is stuff I can directly relate to.
yeah,
So it's like just having the words for things. Like I just remember being a kid and being like, man, everybody is just trying to get banged. Okay.
yeah,
Like, you know, are we gonna play Pokemon?
yeah.
Like,
It's just not as,
uh,
I
something else. And then I also had to realize how much like aloe masking I do.
yeah.
The way like I talk about sex a lot in a way as if I am a person who enjoys sex, or want sex, I should say. And
Yeah.
I just didn't realize how much I mask to be a part of the
Or
group.
or having to explain to people, which is for
Yeah.
me, it's hard having to explain to people that like I enjoy sex, but it's very hard for me to enjoy sex if there's not an emotional connection there first. And so it makes things it's very hard. Like it's, like I'm like I do enjoy it, but being with someone that I have no emotional connection to and getting to that point, like I can't picture myself having sex with someone and it being good and I don't have that emotional connection first. So not having that where people are like, how do you go so long without having sex? And it's like, because I can't just it's like but it's weird having to explain it to someone like, yes. They're like, oh, you don't like having sex? No, I do, but I don't enjoy it. And it's very hard for me to do it with someone that I don't have an emotional connection to. Like I don't feel great about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I've never had the words to describe until when I heard someone once say like demisexual, I was like, huh. Oh.
You said, all right, I
I said,
think.
all right. I do. Like it's just like I experience that attraction. But for me, like the emotions happen first. And so it was like, I
It's a lot. Put this on the internet, but it's just it's a lot. Like for how do I describe it? So like I'm okay. I'm just gonna say it because I'm like trying to think of a way to say it. So one of the biggest eye openers for me as I'm going on this journey of figuring out more things about myself is when I realize like the idea of masking and realizing that I would say and do things that's very prevalent in the sexual world so I don't get physically harmed.
yeah.
Like I would be like, yeah, I'm gonna engage in the sexual act with you because you are a man. We don't have to talk about how men could be, and you as socialized as a woman may have some fear and being
Mhm.
like, I'm just gonna go with this, or feeling like something is totally wrong with you, or you're on this search trying to find like the penis that you're gonna like,
Yeah.
like what I mean? You're like, I'm gonna find this magical peen and it's gonna be great, and then you try to like talk to your friends or your family, especially if you're a family who if you're a part of a family that is collectivist and they want babies, right? And you're like, maybe I ain't getting that urge. And they're like, oh, somebody haven't hit you right. You know what I mean? Like, just
Yeah.
saying things that's not helpful, not relatable, and it's just annoying. And I remember over a year ago, like, me talking to this guy and I was flirting, and like, past Bree would have been like, oh, I have to do X with them.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I have to. But I was like, well, no, you have a good night. Bye. And I just felt so great. Like,
Yeah.
I cried. It was a whole situation. So I just feel like I'm saying all this to say that, those of you who are ace or on the spectrum, like, that self exploration is really important.
It
And
is.
that, like, even though we are in a world where um, there are a lot of men who don't believe people when they say no, and don't give a shit. And a lot of times you do things out of fear. Like, don't I don't just don't want people to be so hard on themselves. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of times you got to do what you got to do to survive. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
there's just so many things in my mind, and I can't even like organize them. I don't even know if I'm making sense about
No,
how
you're making, no,
I
you're
to
definitely
this
making
book
sense.
and Ace by Angela Chen. I was like, is she trying to come for my life? You know
I
what I mean?
I keep going back to like that whole thing, like, because I'm trying to word mine also in a very specific way. Like, for me, understanding that sexual attraction and sexual release thing was monumental, because I was like, if I feel this way, how can I still have sexual urges? I have sexual urges, but not necessarily having sexual urges in wanting to have another person with me in that moment. Like, I couldn't. And it's like, but if I'm with someone, like, I do have a sex drive with that person. So it never, like, I could never put the pieces of the puzzle together. And I think what you said, it makes sense where you feel obligated to do certain things, or you feel like, I use this example, like being in a society where like having a sneaky link is a new thing. And it's like, I don't have any interest in anything like that. Like, I just don't see,
None of it.
I don't see the appeal of it. Whereas, like, I want to be in an emotional situation with someone and then tear down the four walls of my house. Like, I would love to, but it's just, I always felt like it's just a little bit more complicated for me. And why, like, there were periods where I would go 2-3 years without engaging in any type of physical
Boy,
thing. And if I ever did, like, just try to do it because it was there,
I felt terrible,
it never felt good.
terrible.
It never felt, I would just be like, I would feel gross afterwards. I'd be like,
Yeah, like,
it's
when,
gross.
when they talked about physically being ill when
Yeah.
someone touched them, I ain't never related so hard to something. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like, when there's been times where I felt like I needed to follow along with society's expectation that
Mhm.
I do X in a sexual manner, I never, almost never, it's probably never felt like, oh yeah, this was a great experience. Loved it. Loved that for me. Like, I always left with a lot of regrets. It's just, really sad that I just constantly think of like how many things I've done in my life in my early 20s mainly, not mid 20s too,
Yeah.
uh, that I did out of fear of being assaulted, or out of fear of not feeling like I have to do this. And
College.
another thing that like pisses me off is, so briefly going to the romantic agenda. We're just gonna go a little bit minutes over. Going back to the romantic agenda, um, that book, when the main character talks about, how curvy her body is and how she likes being naked and how people tell her like that's not what it means to be ace. And as a person who got hips, ass, thighs, you know, all of that,
Yeah.
and likes to be naked, it's hard because, you know, I typically date cishet men, and they look at me. Every one of them have been sexual, and they're like, "Oh, because you have this body type, you clearly, you know, down for a ride." So it's like people see you from the outside and make assumptions of you because of how you look,
Mm-hmm.
which makes it even more difficult to step in your truth and move accordingly.
Very true.
That makes sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense.
I feel like
It
I'm
does. It
snowball.
does. And it's difficult dealing with cishet men who don't understand, like coming out to a cishet man and saying like, because I had this conversation with someone and I think that he just didn't understand. And so, and I think for some people it takes a while to wrap their mind around it. But like explaining to him that, you know, like I was not physically attracted to you when I first met. Like it wasn't not like you look good. You're a physically attractive person, but I was not sexually attracted. I didn't look at you and be like, I want to bang you. Like it wasn't that wasn't it. Like,
That's not what you say.
huh?
That's not what you say.
What you mean?
You don't go up to men and be like, "Hey, you, me, bathroom."
Like, but I feel like that's what men think. Like, especially cishet men. I think some cishet men like
Yeah.
think that that's what goes through everyone's mind. Like, I look at you and it's like, oh yeah, like I'm talking to you because I think you'll be good at sex, and it's like, no, I talked to you because I think that maybe you could be an interesting person. And then yes, after there's an emotional connection there, then I'm looking at you like, so what you trying to do? You know, like it's but
But it's
trying to
hard.
trying to explain that and say that like it's not that I don't find you attractive or that you don't look good, because you're a very attractive person, but my first instinct is not to look at you and be like, oh my gosh, I want to jump in bed with him. Like that's not, I don't have that instinctually. That's not a feeling. But if I build an emotional connection with you, it's like a switch goes off and it's like, so let's go. I'm
Yeah.
I'm ready to, let's go. I'm ready. Like what are you waiting for? Because listen, I'm here wide open, ready to go. And so I think for a lot of people it's weird because it's like, oh, but you do like sex. And it's like, yes, but you have to like, I don't step into it, nor do I look at it the same way as a lot of cishet people. I just don't. Like I just in I don't know how to explain to people that you can
I
look at
hear
someone
safe
and
place.
say like, this, I know for a fact I could look at this person and be like, they are physically attractive. But I did like, I'm not looking at you like you're physically attractive and I want to have sex with you. It's not like you look good, you look nice.
I'm going to Jessica comment. Ooh, that pisses me off. Like just because my girl is 3 feet, you think she ain't trying to get her box off?
Really?
I hate that. Oh,
I
that
hate that too.
hate that our society thinks that because you're disabled, then you can't enjoy sex, or you can't date, or you can't find love, or you can't like that. That shit. This doesn't make sense to me. Um, I get, I get where it stems from, but it's like that thing of people thinking you're broken when you're not. You know what I mean? It's like we don't got to fight people on Beyonce's internet. But what I am saying is,
Oh,
oh,
sorry. Did I take that off too soon?
oh no
The
no no no.
girl, yeah. Cishet men feel their masculinity is tied to sexuality, so they also perform overt sexuality manly. And this to me is also very true.
Yep.
I do. I think that being oh man, it's just I think being in the black community also adds a very different layer
Oh yeah, that'll be another live show
That's
for sure.
another live show for a different, like, but it
Yeah.
does, like, it adds a whole nother layer to this conversation of, not only, identifying as queer, but going into specifics and saying like you're ace or you're on a spectrum, like that just completely
I
like
don't
that's
know
a
how many.
completely different. Hmm?
I had similar questions that Rebecca had, and which is why I felt like there was a lot of times I related to them. And I just remember people in my community being like, "Oh, you haven't been fucked well," or "Oh, you haven't found a dude
You
that."
haven't had someone lay it down right, and like, I like once I hit, like, yeah,
And my thing is, I've never found anything remotely attractive about somebody saying that they're going to break down my walls. I need all of them
that
to
doesn't sound appealing,
support.
first of all.
So like none of that sounds like a great time. Like
It's
let's
not.
start
It's
there.
not.
And then two, I hear you're not gonna jackrabbit me to for you to fulfill your masculinity quota, and you're also not gonna fist me if you're out here with a baby on. Like I can't get down with any of it. I'm already just super grossed out by the whole situation. So it's just like I don't know. It's hard. I had something in my mind that I told. Oh, going back to what you were saying earlier. You know what I find most different. What I find one to be one of the hardest things of like going on this journey of figuring out my own sexuality is I'm funny, right? And I think I'm a cool cat. And people be out here thinking I'm flirting with them when I'm
All
just
the
here for the jokes. I'm
time.
just here for the jokes, bro. Like, what? They be like, oh my God, can I get your number? I'm joking. You joke, I joke. You hit the joke, I hit it. And now you're like, you're teasing me?
Oh, see, I was gonna be like, but you're very likable. You have good energy, and maybe people are reading that. But like,
A
as soon as
lot of
you said you're
people
teasing me,
want
that's
to
a no.
get their
Yeah, that's a
a
no.
lot of people read it as I'm trying to get up in their jeans. And I feel like the only people that like took me responding to them being like, no, I'm just funny and friendly is
Yeah,
like lesbian women. Like they're the only one who agreed to the boundary and like kept it pushing.
that
Because
is
I ain't
so
gonna lie,
disheartening.
I'm a snack. I'ma say it, they be about me. But I just be like, I'm just here for the joke. But the cis het men, gross.
Out of control.
Out of control.
Out of
Somebody
control.
to call their mama
All
and
right,
figure
y'all.
something
We're gonna have to wrap this up because Bree has to go, and Bree
out. I
will stay
do.
here and talk all night. But Bree has to go. So, um, dang. I wish you didn't have to go because this is such a good conversation. But
I can give you 10 minutes.
no, you need to go.
I was just saying because the text I got, I can give you
Oh,
10 minutes.
oh, you gave me, okay. So you got a text. What did I say?
Yeah, it's a struggle.
It is a struggle, apparently.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Jessica is hella funny.
You call if your mouth
Hella
is
funny.
flirty and you're cold and need to smile more. You can't win. You
Yeah.
can't win. You stand up for yourself. You're a bitch, and you have anger, especially as a black woman. You're bitter. You're angry. Who
Hmm.
pissed you off?
Yeah.
And then when you try to be kind and nice, people take it too far. Like you just
Too,
can't.
too far. And
Too far.
so, okay, moment of honesty. I was texting somebody, whatever, and they like, "What you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, the period is taking me out. Like she came, she's on some Jason Voorhees shit, and it's going down. I'm in the bed holding a pillow." The person responded, "I wish I was that pillow."
Wow.
I didn't
Wow.
respond. The next
I
day,
was
they
not
go,
popular.
"Oh, I'm sorry, that was out of pocket." I said, "I'm very presumptuous."
Very presumptuous.
It's just like, why would like I get why people would think sexual be I'm just assuming if you like enjoyment in the way of sexual things, that you would be like, yeah, I want somebody to throw it back on me. But I've been talking to this person, never once mentioned sex, nothing about it. Our conversations have never been about sex. So why would you think that I was going to throw back my meat pies on you?
I don't, I don't, I don't, oh man. I don't know what it's so disheartening to hear stuff like that because you know it's 2022 and you would think at this point that we wouldn't have to deal with issues like that. And like I get very worried about my child having to deal with some of this nonsense if you know she's into cishet men, if if that's what
If
she's
that's
attracted to. Like I'm very almost would be like I'd rather you not be.
how do
I
I
hate to say I hate to say stuff like that, but it's almost like I'm like
I
I would,
can't
I wouldn't be mad if you just, that was just not your thing. It was just not your thing at all.
know? It's like, how do I push the gay agenda? I ain't lying, but yeah.
Like, I think that it just worries me that in 2022 and raising my own child, I have to think about like how she's going to have to deal with some of the nonsense that like you and I have had to deal with growing up and now being adults and still in the dating world, and it makes you just not want to honestly, because I predominantly date, like even though I don't even put a label on myself. I don't know what I just, I go with the flow. But I do predominantly date. I really do. I just go with the flow. Like, like if you have good vibes and stuff and I feel like we mesh together, we, enjoy the same things, like, hey, you're human. Um and so most people would probably code that as being pan, but whatever. We're not putting labels on me. Um I predominantly have been with cishet men, and it's like it makes me just not want to even deal with cishet men at all because it's just like, and I deal with black cishet men. That's a
questioning
thing of its own.
I'm questioning the motive of their feet. I have to say it. I'm questioning it. That was random, but you know how I feel about feet.
I know you have, yeah.
It's just
I don't, love, I just don't. I don't at this point. I don't. Oh man, I just had some stuff that happened today. Just this whole conversation is really like I'm very like very much so in my head about some things that have happened today, and having this conversation is bringing those things forward just a smidge, just a smidge. And so, yeah.
asexual, pan romantic. I'm gonna need you to stop calling me out in my.
Asexual, pan romantic. I mean, I think I've come to a place in my life where like it's nice having words to describe when people ask me stuff. It's nice having language to be able to describe it, but I have tried to put myself into like an identity, but I can't because it's like I feel like I'm all over the place.
Things
Like, how do you
change.
feel? I like people.
Things change, man. Look,
Yeah.
who's ever there is whoever is there.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I wish they had like a whoever sexual. It's kind of
I
reminds
continue.
me of that TikTok when that girl was like, my ex man cheated on me, so I effed his mom, and then the dude was like, what? And then she was like, her mom, his mom was a baddie, And then she was like, I'm pansexual, so anybody. And the crowd was like, can get it. And she was like, can
Man, it's true. At that point, like, ain't nobody off limits. So
I said, not you getting the moms.
not you. Listen, I would
Like,
not screw over a pan person because at the end, let me tell you,
if I ever did that,
anybody is fair. Literally, anybody is fair game.
anybody.
That's what you don't want to do, because you turn around and be like, yeah, fuck your mom, huh?
Yeah. That mama calling my name, okay?
Your mama
So
was
guess
calling
who's
my
your
name
new
last night.
stepmama? Me.
You thought that we couldn't both play this game? Your mama was screaming my name in the top of her lungs.
Screaming my name. I'm the pappy now.
I'm
No, I'm just kidding.
done. Y'all need
But
to
that
listen to
would
the
be
song Happy Pappy. It's a soca song called Happy Pappy.
There's this lady on TikTok. She's so funny. She talks about how she dated this guy. It's literally a Kate Roberts novel. A Katie Roberts novel. So she dated this guy. He wasn't living right. It's literally the premise of Your Dad Will Do. He wasn't living right. She then married his dad. They're just out here living their best life. And I said, you know what, sis? I'm here for you.
That's
Because
like
you really got to live your best soft life at the end
that,
of the day.
that's the same thing as Penelope Douglas's birthday girl. Her boyfriend started screwing up, and Daddy came to the rescue.
Listen, listen. I'm like, live it up. If you got to do what you got to do, live it up. But I have to head out now.
Okay, cool. All right, y'all. It's been real. This was a great conversation. Remember that we'll be back on the 27th for Something is Killing the Children. Remember that it is volumes 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 is not on Hoopla yet, so if you need to read it, it is issue 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. But try to hold off and see if Hoopla. I'm going to hold off for a little while and see if Hoopla will get it. Bree, Deidre, and I, Deidre thinks she can get at this, but Deidre ain't getting out of this one, are going to be reading Paper Girls, volumes 1 through 6, to prepare for the show that is coming out on the 29th. But thank you all.
Countdown.
Bree, that means that you have to read. No, you can wait till next week to read 2 volumes. You don't have to do it this week.
Oh, I am. Already clicked that borrow on screen.
All right, y'all. Be easy. See y'all in a couple of weeks.
All right. See y'all later.
Bye.